Hi everybody, welcome to another CSEC CXC Geography Made Simple. This is your teacher, Raleigh, and today I'll be delving in to the topic, the methodology of research. Now, because the methodology of research is a topic that requires a lot of explanation, I have decided just to focus on methodology for today's presentation. Okay, so the methodology, as the word suggests, is practically focusing on how the research is actually conducted in the field. Now, we are in a pandemic, and in a pandemic, this is a global thing, and the pandemic is COVID-19, right? So, we are a little bit cautious as to how we actually conduct our research. We have been advised by the examination body to allow students to focus their energy on topics that is within their immediate surroundings. So the whole field trip idea, taking the students out on a field trip in groups, that is not encouraged. Normally, back in the days, 4 or 5 years ago, I would get a bus, load my students in the bus, and I will take them to sections of the island, usually out of town, since most of them are not really knowing rural parts, right? Because I'm from the town, and we would actually concentrate our energy on one topic, and that would be much easier for me to mark because I be focused on that one topic. I actually have an idea, so everybody can have the same aim, same objective, but different introduction, different interpretation. Just like how you have the Bible, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, all three were there Jesus during Jesus' time. However, all three gave their different versions of what actually took place. Okay, so back to my methodology. Now, my methodology, the methodology for CXC requires you to have four main things, and the four main things are the how the research will be conducted, the when the research will be conducted, the where the research will be conducted, and the why of the research. Now let us look at the how. Now the how focuses on whether or not you're going to be using a qualitative method or a quantitative method. For those persons wondering what is meant by qualitative and quantitative, look back in my list of shares underneath the topic research. You will see a fulsome explanation as to that, right? As I actually go into details as to the difference between qualitative and quantitative. But for the benefit of those persons, want to get it over with quickly, let me just run through some nicely little notes for you. Okay, so quantitative is mostly mathematical approach, right? It focuses on like surveys and questionnaires. So normally, person doing research, they would give out questionnaires with like probably 10 or 12 questions, right? And there are principles approach in which you give out those questionnaires and those surveys, and when you collect them, you would actually construct charts, graph, tables, and you will present it and label it, and you will talk about it within the presentation of data, right? That is one approach, and that's the approach I use within my first formative years of teaching secondary school. However, after much studies and I'm kind of realizing that a lot of students have the problem of how they actually present data this way. So I delved a little bit more in it, and I discovered that we have what you call qualitative approach. Now, the qualitative approach is the approach in which I've leaned on for the past 5, 7 years with my students. Now, what is the qualitative approach? A qualitative approach is a little bit more personal than the quantitative approach. This approach looks at interviews, it looks at interviews, it looks at observation, it look at getting a little bit personal with whatever you're doing, right? So that's the synopsis. Okay, so the how of the research. Now, with the research focusing on, well, this particular research focuses on transportation and individuals around. I encourage my students to actually do some interviews with some persons within the area that the new overhead bridge at the 3 Mile intersection is being constructed. Instructed my student to go there. As a matter of fact, at that point in time when this paper was done, I actually took them to the location. I took them and I instructed them to go and I showed them the ropes, but they actually went out and they chose the individual. They asked the question, they made a record, and then they made their presentation. All right. Um, Observation is one of the prime key in which shows or demonstrate that some amount of field work have done. What is observation? How is it recorded? With regards to observation, it's recorded by virtue of photographs. So you do your interviews with individuals and you actually take photographs of the area and the person in whom you are actually interviewing. For example, let's say that you're doing the road, you take pictures of the road, you take pictures of the persons you're interviewing, you take pictures of the traffic, the before and the after. If you're doing fishing, you take picture of the beach, you take picture of the fish catch, you take picture of the fisherman, you take picture of the boat, all of that, and you actually present in the presentation of data, right? So the how you actually share with the reader how the data, how the information will be will be shared, right? And where now a lot of persons are a little bit skeptic, a little bit reprehensive, or should I say a little bit apprehensive. Now that's a better word. They're apprehensive in actually using the actual name of the area that they're actually doing the research, because there's a lot of thought, school of thought, that persons doing research are not really doing the research properly, and they're actually clouding their community with some really negative connotation. For example, in sociology, persons actually assume that crime and violence is a problem, and then do papers picking out bits of people, and person said that crime and violence is high, or probably they might look at flooding as far as geography is concerned. One house might get flooded in the community and they say flooding is a problem. So as to protect against that, I encourage my students to use pseudonyms. Pseudonyms is a phrase or a term that is used in replacement of the actual phrase and term, right? For example, if I'm looking at Kingston and I don't want to call the name Kingston, I would say Big Stone, in the community of Big Stone, right? So I use a pseudonym. So within the methodology, you have to state where the research is conducted. So normally, if it's a topic that is a general topic that won't be that sensitive to the community members, they can use it, right? For example, like transportation, right? They can use the name of the community. But if it's a topic wherein it, they might, the community members, if they actually get a hold of the research, they might feel a little sensitive to it. I encourage them to use pseudonyms. All right. So um, the how is explained, the where is explained, the when is practically the date of the research. Um, give a time frame. Is it in February? Is it 2 weeks in February? 1 week, 2 days, right? State how you when you will actually do this. This must be stated in the methodology, right? If you state all of them, you'll actually get your 4 marks: the how, the when, the where, right, and the why. The why is practically saying one or two reasons why you choose this method, right? Why you choose observation, why you choose taking pictures, why you choose interviews, why you choose questionnaires, why you choose surveys, right? Why you choose this method? Just give two reasons. And uh, technology is of such right now. You can actually go on the internet. I can type in two advantages of using interviews, two advantages of using observation techniques in research. So this is the methodology, people, you need to use when actually conducting your geography SBA. Alright, so join me next time as I dig a lot in the presentation, analyzation, quality, and interpretation of data. Catch you next time. Bye bye for now. Peace out.